It's story time, friends. Do y'all want to hear a real quick story about how the Flim Flammer got flim flam by some of the biggest flim flammers in flim flamming history? Allegedly. Betty Boop, friends. Betty Boop. Now, one of my good friends jumped in my inbox and said, baby, we need to talk about this. So we're going to talk about it. And friend, you know who you are. Shout out to you, boo. So Betty Boop cartoon first popped up on the scenes, friend, in 1930, long before we were born. Long time ago. Now, in this cartoon that was called Dizzy Dishes by this guy named Max Fleischer, she was an anthropomorphic dog. Ooh, that word almost took me out of it. Now, y'all hold on to y'all horses because that right there might tick you off a little bit later. So everything was going good until this lady named Helen Kane came along and she sued Fleischer Studios and said, baby, Betty Boop is me and you made her in my likeness and image. Now, friends, before y'all come beat me down in the comments, they did make Betty Boop in her likeness and image. But was her likeness and image her own likeness and image, or did she use somebody else's? Allegedly. Now, Helen Kane had been a performer all her life. Around this time, she was around about 25 years old. And now during the court proceedings, while she was suing them for using her likeness and image, Lou Bolton dropped the bomb on them. According to the court records, Lou Bolton told her, baby, that ain't even your sound. You got that from one of my people that I managed, a young black girl named Baby Esther. Esther Jones, Esther Lee Jones, Little Esther. I give you Exhibit A. This is Little Esther. But there is so much about her that's not written in history that it's hard to find stuff. But I got something for y'all. I found something for y'all. Calm down. Lou Bolton goes on to tell the court, I taught her how to scat like that with that boo boopy doo. Now, I was going to be a single, y'all, but I decided to let them have that. I didn't want to take over that role because I would have been the next Beyonce. Then he started dropping receipts. Now, mind you, Helen Kane testified first, right? She said, I started doing this around 1928, and the first time I did this was at the Paramount Theater, okay? Lou Bolton pulled up and said, baby, listen, I was at the Everglade Club with little Esther Jones, little baby Esther, and she was scatting and boo-bopping, deep-it-opping on stage, and you was there and you saw her in 1928 in New York. And then afterwards, you went and performed at the Paramount Theater and stole her style. Now, friends, I sat back and I thought about that thing. And I said, you know what? What would make a 25-year-old woman want to sing like a baby and say boop, boopy doop? And y'all know Hollywood around that time was loving the little kids performing like a little kid for grown folks at nighttime in the clubs. Look at Shirley Temple. Anyway, so then I tried to go find some audio of this young girl performing. But around the time, she was like 8 or 9 years old. And it ain't like people were just sitting in the audience with their cell phones recording because this was 1928. Lou Bolton claimed that little baby Esther first did the boo boopy doop in a baby type style because he taught her that. And she was a baby. That sounded an awful lot alike. Max Fleischer Studio then turned in 3 recordings of baby Esther Jones singing in 1928. And the judge ruled that Helen Kane did not have a case because people were using that term and sounding like that before she was. Now, although Helen Kane never actually did a voice for Betty Boop, she did go on to lose the case and record a few more songs that were hits, like I Want to Be Loved by You and some other stuff. During that same year, friends, it looked like they tried to put a little cut on Betty Boop. And at the time of the court case, apparently Esther Jones was in Paris living her best life. She was unbothered. If unbothered was a person, it would have been her back then. As for Betty Boop, she had a lot of suggestive clothes on and short stuff, and men was liking it, and people started complaining about this cartoon that was very attractive. So then in 1934, the Hays Code came along and said, you can't be having her around here swinging her legs all wide open and stuff and singing. So they started making Betty Boop into like a housewife, a teacher, stuff like that. Then I kind of felt like, what you trying to say about housewives? Housewives look good. More evidence proving that Esther was really running these nightclubs performing is where they called her a young Flo Mills, and her dad and the manager Lou Bolton got locked up for having a minor in the club. Even the voice of Betty Boop, Little Ann Little, looked oddly close to the actual Betty Boop cartoon. Now, all of this is information that I read online, and I don't know how true it is, so I'm going to say allegedly, and please don't go sending no type of hate to anybody. But in my opinion now, sometimes when a person bamboozles a child out of their entire style and you dress it up for men where you act like a child, but you're an adult and you can, and men at that time like to see little girls dressed up like grown women and perform, and then you try to capitalize on it by suing somebody for a sound that might not have been yours to start with, it didn't quite work out. And then Fleischer Studios' Grim Natwit takes this right here and makes her an anthropomorphic dog in the beginning. That's grim, y'all. Child, I just can't with all the flim flamming. But listen, I'm gonna call y'all back later, friends. All right.